Hello. You all must have heard about Sri Lanka's economic crisis by now. I'm not going to elaborate on the reasons because you've already found things out. And I'd made a video a few days before the actual crisis happened, trying to delve into what led to the crisis situation. Um, so if you're already familiar with the reasons behind it through this channel or any other, that's pretty good. We're on the same page. Uh, the reason for the crisis is almost the same in all countries. There is a setback which could be caused by anything. It could be, in this case, it was COVID times. Tourism, which makes an important part of the revenues for Sri Lanka, was severely affected because obviously lockdown, no tourists. So it basically depends a lot on external money, as in it does not generate so much in its domestic economy, and it depends more on tourism. And all those countries that depend on tourism have suffered quite a bit. So that's that. But one thing that's common in every crisis situation, with a few exceptions, of course, is that when you borrow money from whichever institution or country or any entity for that matter, private individual, authorized authorized unit of some sort, you are bound to fall into a trap. Because it how did it all start? I after finding things about how Sri Lanka was doing, let's say a fortnight back, what really caught my eye was, in fact, this had more than catching my eye, I should use the word that I was really curious for a while now as to when do businesses reach their break-even point. So when you study economics, you know there is this way to find a break-even uh, point in terms of quantity. Quantities that you need to sell that will help you recover your uh, fixed and variable cost, and that's how you come to the conclusion that I need to sell these many units, and that'll help me recover expenses. And I beyond that particular point, I would make profits. So that's how it is. But then most of the times we don't think in terms of quantity, we think more in terms of time. What is the approximate time in which you would come into a comfortable zone? So when you're starting a business, uh, you have your startup or anything, you're venturing into something new, you want to know how much time, because time is a resource which is really limited. So we think in terms of time. Why do we say a 9 to 5 job? Why don't we say these many assignments in a day? Because, same reason. So I was wondering about how much time uh, does it take for a startup. There are different levels. There are big companies, industries. There are middle level units. There are small scale units. There are tiny units. So how much time does it take? But one thing is for sure: smaller a unit, harder it is for it to break into a comfortable zone. And the same happens with big countries, it's easier for them. So when you see a small country succeed or do well for itself, it's not because it's small, it's despite its small geographical area or the scale when we talk in terms of unit. So, yeah. So what I found was that in big countries, it takes about 2 to 3 years, sorry, 6 months to 18 months to, with many constants, of course, to come into this zone, comfortable zone, when they reach the break-even point. And in smaller places, it's 2 to 3 years, sometimes more, sometimes less, but we are taking uh, this much time, as in 3 years time, 24 to 36 months, as the time when they should be able to, uh, come into a profit, zone. You know, you get it, right? So then that led me to think about loans. Why do all institutions that extend loans to these people extend loans and then charge the heaviest in the initial few years, knowing fully well that these units would not be able to make profit, would not be having um, surplus revenue to dispense with. And if we take this much amount from them, that's going to adversely affect their working capital. um, they're going to be in a more stressed uh, situation. So that's because the argument is they are profit making institutions. They don't think about it. But are they just profit making? Because profit making is a linear thing. It's straightforward. Most of the times, these banks or any financial institutions, they know fully well that this particular loan would be repaid and that particular will not be. Not all loans that they extend to people get repaid, and they know which will be repaid and which will not be repaid. So they still extend loans. And so is the case with small countries or any country in economic crisis, mostly small, uh, because it's so much harder for them, uh, because they don't have resources. How many resources can you possibly have when you have a constraint of small, smallness? Um, mm. So these big financial world institutions like IMF and World Bank, they know that their loans will not be paid back. The countries that extend loans are like China. They know it pretty well that their loans would not be paid back. Most of the loans don't get paid back or don't get paid back easily. And when they are paid back, when the money is extracted from them, it causes a lot of upheaval. So it doesn't help for anyone to take loans without having a, a fit and fine plan of sustenance after that amount is repaid, whatever amount is repaid to the lenders. So this we know. Why do these financial institutions at international level, at national level, and even at your local, regional, even your family level, why do they uh, why do they extend loans to you? Why are they willing to lend you money? Because they know you, and despite knowing that there are good chances, there are bright chances that you won't be able to pay it back, and that's because they're eyeing the asset that you are mortgaging. So this has been going on for a long time in back back in the day, as in like really in old times in India, there was a Midari system. So generations would be spent trying to repay the interest, and the principal amount would not be paid back. They would work as these bonded laborers. The word bonded laborer was coined because you were bound by a bond. Yeah. So on an international level, um, again, the same thing, and especially for individual countries that extend loans, they're eyeing the asset that you're mortgaging. They will take away a big part of uh, your country and use it for geopolitical reasons or whatever be their reason. And even banks see the see the amount um, of property they seize. And there was a case where this person in a big reputed bank, nationalized bank, uh, they they um, they took over a business that wasn't paying back the amount of loan. And then after this person retired, he took over that company and became the CEO. I mean, the person in the bank who seized this company because it was not making enough profit and wasn't able to pay back the amount, this very person, after retiring from bank, became the CEO of that company, obviously after after restarting it. So it was such a telltale thing that you are eyeing the asset. So the whole world wants more power. And these days, in this time, in this age, you can't declare war on anybody, anybody for that matter, any country, any nation, any region, any one person. You shouldn't, because then you're in a soup. So in that case, what you do, you take over. You want to have more and more assets, and the greed for assets is it doesn't cease. So you give money to people when they are not able to pay back. You take over their asset. So this is how uh, tricky taking loans are. But would it mean that you would not take loan at all? Preferably so, especially in a country that's not US, which pretty much, or any very, very, very developed country. So this pretty much includes all countries, because especially Asian countries, because we've got a saving based economy. We invest out of the percent we save. So the saving rate has to be robust. Uh, Whereas in US, it's a credit-based economy. So even if there is some crisis like subprime crisis or any other economic crisis, what they do, they announce a stimulus package, economic stimulus, and that economic stimulus is printing dollars and then spreading it in the economy through certain channels. And since it's a huge country uh, with all good time-tested strategies, so let's give it to them for doing things right. But at the same time, they're in a highly advantageous uh, position. So so there is no problem of inflation, because there are good chances that they would be able to match the amount of money that they print with the rise in the they'll be able to facilitate uh, economic economic activity, rise in the economic activity. So inflation is not such a problem. Whereas in other countries, it is a problem, because you have to back uh, the printed money with some asset or dollars. Mm, Second thing is, uh, most countries are not in such an advantageous position. They don't have a country as big as a continent, and you don't have so many other things. You don't have a think tank. You don't have your human capital uh, developed the way it should be. So this is the answer. When you have nothing else, develop your human capital and let it spread in the world. And that human capital is actually human. So it should feel for the country that it has come out from. So it should support. The same thing happened with Sri Lanka also. People who are the expatriates who stay outside their country, they used to send money, but then corrupt politician siphoned it off in their own personal accounts. So what do you do in such situations? Um, you do what Sri Lankans did. They ousted a corrupt politician. And when talking on an individual level, we meet so many people in our lifetime, and not all people we meet are right ones. And that does it mean they're wrong? They might not be wrong, but they're not meant for us, and there is a lack of alignment. So when there is lack of alignment, there are a lot of losses, emotional, material, and so on. So discerning human capital on an individual level, become discerning things, people, and circumstances that are not feeling okay. Delve deeper into it and face things head on. Same thing with population of any country. Be a good citizen. Otherwise, if you're not a good citizen, you're nobody. You cannot be good anything. Any country that's uh, giving you the warmth of calling you their own. If you're working against it, what can be said? So human capital is important. Then work out of your savings. Then so savings, just have to save whatever little, but save. Second thing, uh, diversify. Just don't bank on one source of income. So even if they're like minuscule diversification with minuscule rate of return, no problem. Just do your bit. uh, Third, be discerning. Keep on improving your skill set and feel connected to your country. When you feel the authorities are corrupt, in any case, depending too much on authorities is a shortcut. Take things in your own hand. Whatever little good stuff that you can do for your country. Nobody would stop you if you want to say that I want to mend this particular thing. I want to take care of children that are not provided. That are not provided for. I'm going to take care of uh, old people, talented but uneducated people, whatever. Nobody's going to stop you. You can do it at your individual level. So there can be n number of solutions, but the rock bottom line is, don't trust the process of borrowing. It's a method of modern age slavery. You don't use your muscle power anymore, but you make people bound. You bound people. uh, People mortgage themselves when they are going for an unwieldy amount of loan. I mean, look at small countries or uh, underperforming countries taking huge loans. Will they ever be able to pay back? Obviously not. So it's a big lesson, individual level or macro level. Loans are bad. Loans are bad, and there are very few exceptions. So think of a sustainable model. Try and hang around with like-minded people, and you all pool in something to start something worthwhile. Always have a little savings to fall back on, and diversify your portfolio in terms of income. that you get, you should be able to get it from various different sources, not just one, because in situations like pandemic, etc., people who have only one source of income and no savings to fall back on, they were worst hit. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. uh, yeah, there was nothing to make illustrations on in this particular video, so uh, I thought let me make a video with me in it. Okay, bye.